This is VOA News. I'm David Berg. A Dutch-led international team investigating the downing of a Malaysian airliner over Ukraine 5 years ago named 3 Russians and a Ukrainian as murder suspects on Wednesday. As AP's Charles de Ledesma reports, prosecutors are looking up the chain of command for who gave the order to fire on the plane.
The international team investigating the downing of flight MH17, in which 298 people died, will not ask Russia and Ukraine to extradite the 4 suspects. Prosecutors realize that the constitutions of both countries prohibit that. They are asking Russia to hand the summons to the suspects who are in the Russian Federation and arrange for the men to be interviewed about the charges.
AP correspondent Charles de Ledesma. A UN rights investigator said Wednesday there is credible evidence linking Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to the murder of dissident journalist Jamal Khashoggi in October in Riyadh's consulate in Istanbul. Agnes Kalamar, the UN Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial executions, said that Khashoggi was the victim of a deliberate, premeditated execution. She called it an extrajudicial killing for which the state of Saudi Arabia is responsible under international human rights law.
There is no way the leaders of that state, including the Crown Prince, were not aware of those violations. In fact, there is evidence, credible evidence, pointing to their involvement.
Saudi Arabia insists the killers were not acting on Prince Mohammed's orders. The Saudi Minister of State for Foreign Affairs said the report contained nothing new and lacked credibility. Saudi Arabia has put 11 people on trial for Khashoggi's murder and is seeking the death penalty for 5 of them. This is VOA News. A Kenyan court has found 3 terror suspects guilty of the April 2015 Garissa University terror attack, in which nearly 150 people were killed. As Sarah Kimani reports from Nairobi, a magistrate set their sentencing for next month.
3 co-defendants were found guilty of conspiracy to commit a terror attack. Chief Magistrate Francis Andayi.
I'm satisfied that the incident that took place at the Garissa University College on the morning of 2nd April 2015 bore all the above elements of a terrorist act.
There was insufficient evidence to link one suspect, Sahal Diri Hussein, to the attackers or any of the accused persons. Sentencing has been set for July the 3rd. The April 2nd, 2015 attack claimed 148 lives. Several attackers were also killed by security forces in the assault on the school. Sarah Kimani for VOA News, Nairobi.
President Donald Trump kicked off his re-election bid on Tuesday and, in less than 24 hours, has raised more than $25 million, AP's Sagar Magani reports.
The party says the president pulled in nearly $25 million in the less than 24 hours after announcing his campaign. It's a staggering sum, dwarfing what his top Democratic challengers raised over the first 3 months of the year. The president had already reported having nearly $49 million cash on hand after March, with the Republican National Committee having an additional nearly $35 million. The Democratic National Committee, by comparison, had just $7.5 million, with $6.2 million in debt. Sagar Magani at the White House.
Meanwhile, a new poll shows that a majority of Americans are concerned a foreign government might interfere in some way in next year's presidential election. AP's Shelley Adler reports.
Democrats are more likely to express the highest level of concern, but both parties have at least some concerns. Overall, half of Americans say they're extremely or very concerned about foreign interference in the form of altered election results, even though hackers would face challenges at polling places. About half of those polled are very concerned about the possibility of foreign governments influencing political candidates or affecting voters' perceptions of candidates. Shelley Adler, Washington.
The Federal Reserve decided to leave its key interest rate unchanged, but signaled that it's preparing to start cutting rates if it needs to protect the U.S. economy. The Fed left its benchmark rate, which influences many consumer and business loans, in the range of 2.25% to 2.5%, where it has been since December. Stocks closed higher on Wall Street following the Fed's announcement, with all 3 major indices in positive territory. I'm David Berg, VOA News.